all candidates for the Princestown Regional Corporation, please come forward. All right, folks, we ask that you please stand for the national anthem as we are about to begin this evening's proceeding.
Forged from the love of liberty, in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, highlands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Almighty God, most beneficial and merciful, Creator of the universe and embodiment of divine wisdom and light, we come before you with thanksgiving and praise. May your will be done in our nation as it is in the heavens. Please bless our political leader, party officials, activists, and all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Give us the grace to always see good, be good, and do good, and the courage to serve the people. Protect us as we stand against injustice and iniquity, and inspire our endeavors to find the right solutions to the problems that are affecting our fellow citizens. Grant that we may always work together with humility and respect for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of our country. This is a national emergency, a primetime Monday night report calling all UNC warriors. Stand your ground on crime, property tax, home invasions, bad roads. Stand your ground to victory. 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 Live from the battleground districts. Welcome to the UNC Local Government Election Campaign. Tonight, your local government candidates and Team UNC. Welcome to the UNC Local Government Election Campaign.
Once again, a pleasant good evening. Yes, I will be your chairperson for the evening, Mikey K. That's right. And it's a pleasure. First of all, let me tell you that all 755, I know it's 55 because I saw our host, Barry Patherad, pulling 5 more chairs out of some storage room. So I want to give our host and the organizing committee a special round of applause this evening here in Princeton. We are in the Heartland. We are here. This is it. And we'll expect great things later on. Coming to the podium is a man who doesn't mince words, who's always there. The minute his feet touches the ground in the morning, Dr. Rowley's like, oh my God, here we go again. Please welcome on stage our first speaker, the MP for Naparima and our Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Rodney Charles.
It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country.
Political leader of the United National Congress, and I'm told Prime Minister in waiting. The 10 soon-to-be successful candidates for the Princeton Regional Corporation. Give them a round of applause. My fellow MPs, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Princeton area. Loving, kind, beautiful. Tonight, brothers and sisters, I wish to state emphatically that my job is to get rid of this wicked PNM led by Keith Christopher Rowley. I am sure that he will take our beloved Trinidad and Tobago down the abyss of death, poverty, and destruction. Under his leadership, it is every man for himself, and who live, live, and who dead, dead. Now, brothers and sisters, listening to a rerun of the Prime Minister in San Fernando last Saturday, I asked myself, does Keith Christopher Rowley listen to himself? Is he suffering from long COVID or early onset Alzheimer's? Or he overindulged in certain beverages, which we have in Maruga? Or he believes that all are we stupid? How he expects us to believe him when he said he knows nothing about inheritance tax? Will you believe that? He knows nothing about inheritance tax. Maybe he was closing his fridge and did not hear himself. This is the self-same man who swore that he was not closing down Petrotrin. And you know something? My mother always told me, if you lie in small things, you will lie in big things also. So if he lied with Petrotrin, why must we believe Dr. Rowley when he says that he knows nothing about inheritance tax? Last Saturday, Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley told us that he swore an oath to be fair to everyone without malice or ill will. If you hear the man, he swore an oath to treat everybody fairly. And I asked myself, well, has he no shame? He is the one of the very select group of people in Trinidad and Tobago who receives a pension, who will receive a pension that is indexed. Now you know what that means? It means every time a prime minister's salary goes up, his pension goes up for life. So if Keith Christopher Rowley lives to 100, his pension could reach $100,000. And that wicked man give the public servants, how much he give them again? 4%. And he wants to be fair to all manner of men in Trinidad and Tobago. And I ask the question, we cannot trust this Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and we must get rid of him. And come the 14th of next month, we're going to teach him a lesson. But I depend on you to teach Dr. Rowley a lesson come the local government election day. Last Saturday, I listened to him with respect to procurement legislation. He admonished the opposition for abstaining on the vote for procurement legislation. He called out the 12 of us names who abstained. Well, my leader has always said, over and over again, we will not support bad law. So Wednesday this week, we are called to Parliament because Dr. Rowley has finally confessed that his procurement amendment legislation is bad law. We heard it from his own mouth that that legislation is fatally flawed. A pattern is arising with this P&M administration. They do all kinds of things ratchet. They do all kinds of ratchet. They pass exemptions on the slide. They bypass proper procurement practices. They raid the treasury. They spend taxpayers' dollars wastefully and then come retroactively to fix their illegal antics. You ever hear about government by retroactive legislation? He spent $9 million on a CARICOM pet. Let's face it, gentlemen, they eat shrimps and they drink cocktail and eat caviar and had a good time with we money. Whiskey. But this government says to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, mind all your bloody business. You don't need to know how we spent that money or who we hired or who we hired them from. And I joined with the deputy political leader, Mr. MP Munilal, who said, we want the list of all the contractors for the CARICOM threat that took place recently. Don't forget about going through Parliament first. We will do that after the fact. And who backs up? You do your mischief, you spend the money, and then you come back to fix it. Rowley tried to justify their actions by saying the provisions of the present procurement law meant no one could do business in under 2 months. Did the Prime Minister not know he was hosting the 50th CARICOM anniversary celebrations? Did he not know he was serving shrimps and assorted beverages and the prices could change? Did foreign dignitaries not confirm attendance till the night before? Couldn't he have anticipated the cost of the summit? So it boils down to the fact that under Rowley we can no longer plan any large event. Trinidad and Tobago was supposed to host the celebration. We were not supposed to host the celebration. Rowley volunteered. He just loves to wine and dine with we money. The left hand don't know what the right hand is doing. They're operating by VAPs, no planning. First, they proclaimed the procurement legislation after 8 long years. Then it was preemptorily gutted by exempting important legal, financial, accounting, auditing, and medical services. Wednesday, they will do some further weakening of the procurement legislation. And we ask again, was this a last-ditch attempt to facilitate the building of Balize House and other P&M projects like funding the local government election? Given the lack of transparency, it seems to be very convenient under the radar, fortuitous avenue, which may very well be used to give contracts to friends and financiers of the P&M with a presumed understanding that donations are then given to Balize House. So we ask over and over again, give us the list of Balize House donors. Is A&V Drilling on the list? Is Leng Sandblasting and Painting Company Limited on the list? Is Andrew Gabriel and other companies owned by him on the list? Is Warner Group of Companies on the list? Is the owner of Copacabana on the list? We need to know, Prime Minister, clear these companies if they are innocent. Now, I just want to touch a little bit about relations with the United States. Last Saturday, Dr. Rowley boasted that we do not want good relations with our friendly countries like the United States. He says we enjoy it when things go bad. And he turned and said that the United States is the best friend of the Rowley administration. So he told the world that we and the US are best friends. And I asked the question, really, Prime Minister? Then why are you on your best friend's tier 2 watch list for human trafficking based on their trafficking in persons report? Friends don't do that. Why are we heading for tier 3 next year if we do not convict anyone for human trafficking? Why are they telling us that Trinidad and Tobago has recorded significant human rights issues in the U.S. Department of State 2022 country report on human rights practices? Why are they telling us in their travel advisories that, quote, there may be widespread violent crime and or organized crime in Trinidad and Tobago, and that local law enforcement may have limited ability to respond to serious crime, end of quote. Why are they telling us we can get gas from Maduro, but we cannot pay him 1 black cent? Diplomacy. Diplomacy, my dear friends, according to Winston Churchill, is the art of telling a man to go to hell and the man asks for instruction. They tell him go to hell, and he's so stupid he asking for direction. That is diplomacy. So we have to wonder if this is a case of the US telling Trinidad and Tobago to go to hell, and Rowley, Hines, Young, and Imbut are asking for direction. That is the government we have. We do not know. Lastly, I'll talk about crime. Rowley wants to talk about the UNC only focusing on crime during our local government election. And we in the UNC are always thinking about crime and crime and crime. That's Rowley talking. But Keith, someone must talk about crime, because you and Hines do not have a clue on what is happening on the ground. We are failing on all fronts with crime. Our police commissioner is in over her head. Her plans are failing. Her targets not being met. Hines is incapable of doing his job. And Hines is your new Gary Sobers. Our elderly are being attacked and killed. Bodies are turning up everywhere. Homes are invaded in broad daylight. Vendors are no longer safe. And just last week I read body parts were found in the road in Trinidad. Where have we reached under this PNM administration? We are heading down a dangerous road, a road we cannot return from whilst Rowley, Hines, Young, Alwari, and Imbot laugh and whine and jam in Balizeo. Local government elections is not about local government reform. Local government reform legislation was passed in 2022. This election is a referendum on you, Dr. Rowley, and your administration. It is about escalating crime. It is about unacceptable murders. It is about rising poverty. It is about hunger and starvation. It is about widespread hopelessness. It is about an education system that is failing our youth. It is about you wanting to form special police units to hunt down political opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot take it anymore. And come next month, we're going to go out in our numbers to vote out this wicked PNM administration. We want, of the 14, we want to win at least 10, if not all the corporations. So let us send a clear message to Rowley. Let us individually and collectively do what is important and get out that day and vote the PNM out of office. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to a very important part of tonight's function. I will introduce to you 3 incoming members of the Princestown Regional Corporation. They are no strangers to you. They have been on the ground, putting in the work and representing you, the Burgesses, and the UNC, most of the 3, for years. The first person I'm going to introduce is our friend, Mr. Vincent Ragu. A round of applause.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
Vincent is an active member of our great party for the past 16 years. He has worked in the fields of administration, communications, information and communications technology for the past 8 years at NAMDEVCO. He has a vision for the electoral district of Ben Lamont at Bargain Williamsville. Rehabilitation of roads, water supply, improvement of street lighting, etc. We in the UNC are always extending a call for young people to step up to the crease to bat for the betterment of the citizens of our country under the only party with the interests at heart, United National Congress. Ladies and gentlemen. The next candidate, ladies and gentlemen, he needs no introduction, but he is the candidate, Mr. Steve Sean Premchand, the candidate for current Cedar Hill. Mr. Premchand has served as a councillor for current Cedar Hill for the past 10 years with enthusiasm and commitment. He is known for community. He's a known community activist and is currently pursuing his bachelor's degree in youth development work. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience that will propel him to efficiently perform his duties. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the next candidate for current Cedar Hill, Steve Sean Premchand.
Vote for UNC.
The next person I will introduce is no stranger to this business, to this thing, to this counseling thing that we do, serving the people at the level of local government. She is Mrs. Bashti Suku. candidate for Reform Manahambri. She has decades of experience. You know her well. From when she served as councillor of Ben Lomond, Patbag in Williamsville for 6 years, and then as an alderman for the past 4 years. Her track record precedes her. She is known in the community for her social work, for her active participation in all sports clubs in the area. She's a well-known businesswoman and no-nonsense, straightforward, faithful UNC member. She has answered the call and put forward herself to be our candidate for Reform Manahambri, Mrs. Vashti Suku. So ladies and gentlemen, give them all.
August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. From now we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. From now we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote. This is the time to secure TNT. Hey!
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more. And the home invasion of the people insecure.
Insecurity, you know.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go.
Way to go.
So
A round of applause, please, UNC family, once again for MP Rodney Childs and our candidates. The driver of TCS 8765, I believe it's a truck that's blocking the passage, I believe. So please, TCS 8765 and the driver of PDS 7169. PDS 7169. Please, if you can move your vehicle. Right. And of course, you have been out and about. Many of you, give yourself a round of applause. You're on the campaign trail, going for length and breadth to secure victory. And many times you would hear people tell you, well, it's the same, you know, it's the same. No, it could never be. The reality that you, all of us, have been living for the last 7.5 years. We know the truth. We know the difference. We know it's all about chalk and cheese. Because it's a simple thing if I ask you, who took away the laptops from the children? Who? Who? And who have these criminals so brave and confident that they can jump your walls and terrorize your family? Who? Who? And who has made our senior citizens soft targets for these criminals? Who? Who? And who lied about Petrotrin? Who created the working poor? And who has taken our beloved country to hell in a gasoline soap paper bag? And you know the difference. And when I ask you, of course, I know you know the answer to this. Who placed the laptops in the hands of our children because she understood? Who took care of the most vulnerable when it came to any special occasion or holiday in this country? That they will reduce prices on flour, sugar, and oil. Who did that? Who took care of the single mothers? Who ensured that no child would be left behind and upgraded the tertiary education in this country? Who took care of single mothers and took care of senior citizens and ensured that, of course, at the end of the day, this country was growing from should I say, on a daily basis? Who did that and changed everything? You know the answer? Who? So when you go out there, you tell them you know the difference. And it is that difference, come August 14, that will motivate you, that will inspire you to come out in your numbers and go to the polls and vote for the United National Congress. Because you know the difference. Because you've lived that difference. And you know how important it is. Coming up next, this evening's host, a man who does not mince words as well. He does not. He simply does not. You say Pepper, we say Barry. I want you to put your hands together. And of course, welcome on stage, the Honorable MP of Princestown, and Shadow Minister of Public Utilities, the man himself, the Honorable Barry Pavarat.
It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country.
Princestown! Princestown! Of the United National Congress. Political leader of the United National Congress, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the best Prime Minister this country has ever seen. My colleagues both in the upper and lower houses of Parliament, members of the local government fraternity, all of our candidates from the Princestown Regional Corporation and throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad, brothers and sisters all, tonight, as the UNC local government caravan rolls into the region of Princestown, in your hundreds, we say welcome, welcome, welcome to the heartland of the United National Congress and the fortress of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Here in the Princestown Regional Corporation, the UNC has all 10 seats. Hindustan St. Mary's, are you in the house? Lengua Indian Walk, are you in the house? Ben Lomond Hard Bargain, are you in the house? St. Julian, are you in the house? New Grand Tableland, are you in the house? Maruga, are you in the house? Inverness, Princestown, are you in the house? Fifth Company, are you in the house? Reform Manahambri, are you in the house? Come August 14th, this region will return to the United National Congress. This is a region that is diverse. It is rural, but it is coveted by those in red. It is by no means a walkover on election day, but our councillors, our chairmen, they have worked hard, and the results on election night will reflect the fruits of their labor. There are 2 battleground districts in the Princestown region, and we will once more fight, and we will once more win. Hindustan St. Mary's and Lengua Indian Walk, the battleground areas that we must put all our effort in supporting our candidates, double and tenfold to ensure that all 10 seats remain with the UNC. Are you ready, Princestown Regional Corporation, to trample them in Lengua? Are you ready? Are you ready to trample them in Hindustan St. Mary's? Are you ready? Brothers and sisters, there are 2 main issues that I want to deal with tonight. The latest is the Moody's report, which just came out a few days ago. What does this report do, and why is it so important? You know, many times we hear about these credit rating agencies, and I often wonder whether you, the layman, the man on the street, whether you understand when these credit rating agencies rate Trinidad and Tobago as a nation. Do you understand really what it means? What it means, it's meant to be an independent assessment of the credit worthiness of a country. Credit ratings give insights into the level of risk associated with investing in a particular country, its effects in terms of government's ability to borrow and take loans, and as well as the country's economic and political stability in the estimation of others. But a few days ago, when this Moody's report came out, with great fanfare on a PNM platform last week, he announced the latest ratings by Moody's, and this is what he had to say. He said Moody's Investors Services has affirmed that the Ba2 rating of Trinidad and Tobago moved the country's outlook upwards from stable to positive. Now, there are different categories when they do the assessment. There's B1, BA2, but what this category that we found ourselves in with respect to outlook prior to this assessment is what you call junk status. It means that in the eyes of the world, Trinidad and Tobago is not a viable place to give loans to invest in, and that our economy is essentially saturated and we are going nowhere quickly. So Moody's a few days ago gave this new report which says we are still at BA2, but now there is an outlook where they think that we will have a positive impact going forward in terms of the economy. Now, what is important, our leader always tells us, is that the devil is in the details. When you look at page 2 of this Moody's report, despite all the song and the dance and the mamaga and the hypocrisy and the lies and the deceit of Imbert on that PNM platform to tell you that the economy is turning around. Remember when he came to the parliament and he said, I can see clearly now. He said the economy was turning around. He said we can loosen our belts. Have you been able to loosen your belt? Are you seeing the economy turning around? Well, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you today, Imbert's assertion of Moody's report is a lie. When you turn to page 2, this is what it has to say, brothers and sisters. He said he considers this affirmative action on the part of Moody's to be a welcome development. You hear lie? That is lie. He said they acknowledge the positive efforts of the country's management, but I told you the devil is in the details. Page 2 of Moody's 7-page report says they base the assessment on several things, one of which is the electricity tariff schedule for the fiscal year 2022-2023. When does the fiscal year of 2022-2023 end? It ends in September of 2023, less than 2 months away, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you tonight, it says, Kamla, brace for electricity hike after polls. I want you to stay with me because I want you to connect the dots. In our last Monday night forum, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa exposed that the government had a plan to do 2 things. They were going to implement the new electricity rates come June 1st, 2023. When did the Privy Council indicate that the government acted unlawfully and therefore had no choice but to call a local government election, despite the government announcing that the local government election will be postponed by 1 year? That ruling came up on the courts on May 20th, 2023 at the Privy Council. Court with your hands. The government then had to retreat because they knew having to call an election, they could not then impose the new rates before the election. So what did they do? They then backtracked inside of the RIC and inside TNTEC, hold your hand. We have to wait until after the election. And that is why Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is warning you brace for electricity hike after the polls. Tonight I want to tell Starvin Marvin, the Minister of Public Utilities, Kamla Prasad Bisesa does not speak from the top of her head. When she comes with facts, and she comes good. Tonight we have a copy of the report, and we will share with you in due course what those new tariffs are. But tonight, from this platform, we will expose the PNM, their party hats, their political appointees, and their hatchet men and women inside of the Ministry of Public Utilities and inside of the RIC, who is intent on doing their bidding. You know, it is often said, so it shall be in the beginning, and so it shall be in the end. From this stage right here, on March 22nd, 2023, together with the councillors of the Princetown Regional Corporation, I came to the RIC consultation, together with several others, traversing the length and breadth of this country. Khadija Amin, Dave Tanku, my colleagues, Rishi Sitaran. I see MP Indar Singh, MP Ravi Rajaram, I see MP Rodney Charles. All of us fighting for you at these public consultations. But today I will expose Dawn Calendar and others who are the PNM's hatchet men and women who will impose these new rates on you as soon as the new councils are installed post-August 14, 2023, on the instruction of Prime Minister Keith Rowley. From this stage, I stood and I told you on March 22nd, 2023, that in the Gazette of 2019, the government, and I told you connect the dots, the government appointed one Dr. Michel Salandi as a commissioner to the Board of Commissioners of the Regulated Industries Commission. On the Gazette, it said that the Cabinet has agreed to make the appointment of the following persons as commissioners to the RIC for a period of 3 years, 12th of August 2019, Dr. Michel Salandi. I told you about this. So since then, we have been asking in the public domain to give us the details of this consultant. Tonight, I want to thank our political leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I want to thank my brother in the parliament and my brother as an attorney-in-law, Saddam Hussein, who has worked with me to file on your behalf, Trinidad and Tobago, a freedom of information to get the terms and conditions of one Michel Salandi, who departed being a commissioner appointed by Rowley and the RIC in 2021 to being a consultant at the RIC. Today in my hands, I want to tell you that they can run, but they cannot hide. Tonight we have found out that the woman that Rowley has put inside of the RIC as an economist to tell you that the RIC is important, but the RIC is independent. Tonight we will expose them. They can run, but they cannot hide. Tonight we have in the black and white that she has received as a consultant, having served as a political appointee for 3 years, $720,000 as a consultant to tell the government what they want to hear, which is to send up water and electricity rates. That is how much they're paying an economist to tell them what they want to hear. But brothers and sisters, it does not stop there. You see, I told you connect the dots. Tonight I have in my hand, when we came to these public consultations, there's a big boss at the RIC. That boss will then take the new rates and then has to justify to the public and justify the reason and the rationale they give to the government for raising your water and electricity. So they pluck her out from the Board of Commissioners, a politically appointed person, then put her as the economist to say, well, this is not so bad because she was the same one who came right here in Princetown $120,000 as a consultant out of the coffers of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, then you can say $40 a month is not plenty because you do not have to feel the pinch. But it does not stop there. Brothers and sisters, tonight I will tell the Prime Minister and the government once more, if it means taking you to the courts to prevent you from doing what you are doing to the people by putting this pain, this punishment on them, by imposing higher electricity rates and water rates, we are prepared to do so under the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress. Tonight I want to tell you that they have removed the big boss, Glenn Khan, the executive director of the so-called Regulated Industries Commission, an independent organization, to put their political hat, the commissioner, then the consultant. Now the big boss, I have it here in black and white, Michel Salandi, at a cost of $3.8 million, $50,000 a month, to justify why they should set up water and electricity rates. Brothers and sisters, I ask you to stand as we welcome our political leader, the whole process.
Because what don't kill you should make like steroids, boy. I get my doses from all kinds of sources, and all of them still can't kill me now. You see, as them sink me under ice flow, ride out the storm, them just like a boat. So as the box me down, so I get up. They have to wonder how others get up, and every crack I see, I just see through. And by the help of God, I just get through. I just won't stop. I feel like hot. Move any mountain, I trample any building like hot. Man better than monster, dismantle any structure, boy. Trample them, trample them, trample them, trample them. Rip up my shot and mess up my Jesus. Step on my problems, then what we gonna do? Trample them, trample them, trample them. Kick out them, kick out my problems, kick out my problems. Trials and testings does come before blessings, but we have to be patient, yeah. Weeping and mourning in the night, but joy in the morning. But we just have to enjoy. You see, God the when I come, so you don't really need to lie down. Them say what goes around comes right back around. I go wait until my time come. So from sun up straight to sunset, you could catch I busting a sweat. I must climb out. I feel like hot. Dismantle any structure, boy. Trample them, trample them, trample them, trample them. Rip up my shot and mess up my Jesus. Step on my problems, then what we gonna do? Trample them, trample them, trample them. Kick out them, kick out my problems, kick out my problems. You see, the Most High never give us more than we can bear, but He give us the strength and the will and the power and the courage to handle our problems through Him. So on the count of 4, I want everybody step on their problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trample them, trample them, trample them, trample them. Manhandle them, manhandle them. Dismantle them, dismantle them. Trample them, trample them, trample them. Kick out them, kick out your problems, kick out your problems. So as they sink you under, you flow. Ride out the storm, them just like a boat. So as they push you down, so you get up. They have to wonder how you just get up. And every crack you see, you just see through. And by the help of God, you will get through. Now everybody shout, I feel like hot.
Brothers and sisters, put your hands together for political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, a leader that will lead us into victory on August 14th. It is now my distinct pleasure
because
to introduce
you should make you stronger.
3 of our veteran candidates.
Like steroids,
tonight, I want to welcome on stage the hardworking, the backbone of the Princess Song Regional Corporation, the hardworking, the veteran himself, a councillor returning for the 4th and 5th time, Councillor Gauri Rupnarain, the chairman of the Princess Song Regional Corporation.
Vote for UNC.
Joining us next
Vote for UNC.
is a charismatic, self-made, outspoken, and hard-working individual. I refer to none other than your very councillor for this area, Councillor Derek Matura.
So we have the votes to see the country security and
Joining us on stage now is one of the hardest working people that I know, but also one of the most loved here in Princestown. He has been a councillor for a number of years, but he is the evergreen councillor, Lakshmi Narayan Ramdan, affectionately known as Nello.
Vote for UNC. Come let me vote. So let me vote. Come out and vote.
August 14th, vote for UNC. It's time for win.
Once again, a round of applause for MP Barry Patherath and our councillors, our candidates, well, definitely our councillors. And again, a special good evening to our political leader, next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her husband, Gregory Bissessar, as well as to all NATEX members, all senators and MPs. A round of applause, please. And calling on stage at this time, we have the MP Michelle Benjamin, MP of Maruga. Table it, please.
It's time for we. Jamila Betati Auntie. Come on. It's time for we to vote for the 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure you.
Good night, my UNC family. I would like to say a special good night to my honorable political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and good night to Murga Tableland, those seated here and those locked out. I am here to tell you a quick story about our local government experience in the constituency of Murga Tableland. And you know what that experience is? This government gives us little to no resources in the Princestown Regional Corporation. I am here to tell you that on August 14th, the Princestown Regional Corporation would be returning to the United National Congress. I am here to sound the battle cry and tell you that Hindustan St. Mary's, Lengua Indian Walk, Moruga and Fifth Company is United National Congress. I am here to tell you tonight that if we do not vote UNC, and this not only goes for Murga Tableland or the region of Princestown, we are putting our country and our life at risk. We have a chance on August the 14th to send a message. We have a chance on August the 14th to tell this government, bye-bye. We have a chance on August the 14th to have our prayers answered. Our prayers is
the Flaming Word Ministries.
Good evening, Princess Town. Not good enough. Good evening, Princess Town. We want you to sing along with us because somewhere or the other, every one of us here have experienced the goodness of the Lord. Hallelujah. Good evening, Your Honor.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days have been held in your hand. Moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing.
goodness of God.
proceedings to their own supporters. But they get over $500,000 to pay a bribe to Judas. The governor of the central bank is appointed by whom? He's a government appointee. The deputy governor is a government appointee. And you want to talk about no government? Nothing in politics? We will continue to work with CARICOM for the better of our country.
This is a special prime time local government election address with UNC political leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
UNC family, Princess Town Massive, good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here. And I came with a prepared text, you know. So let's thank all the speakers before me, MP Charles, MP Padarat, MP Benjamin, thank you all so much. And I shared with some of you all my thinking about the wonderful choir. Let's give them a round of applause, Flaming Word Ministry. And I shared with some of you, and I want to tell the rest of you here tonight, that I always love to sing. But my husband, Dr. Greg, said, Kamla, do not sing on a mic. So whilst I congratulate the choir for lifting our spirits, I want to share with you my determination and grit to do what I think is best. And so when I went to Irie High School, coming out of the common entrance exam, I told some of you already, coming out of common entrance, I went to Irie High School and they had a wonderful choir. And I asked and begged, can I please join this choir? But of course they say, no, Kamla, I mean, you really can't make. And so every day when Miss Mildred, who was the principal's wife, she ran the choir, every evening when we were doing choir practice, I will go and sit down on the side of the choir practice, looking really sad, looking really, really, really sad. And I did this for about a month or more. Eventually I say, okay, Kamla, you are so determined, come, join the choir. So I'm giving you that as a story of determination. Never give up, always keep trying. UNC family, together, never, ever give up. So welcome to all of you, UNC family members, all the executives and MPs who are here. I want to thank you very much. I want to say that the UNC has always stood for unity. Our respect and love for our differences is what unites us. That is the same glue I spoke to you before about, which holds us together. I was referring to Derek Walcott's very famous work, Fragments of Epic Memory. I want you to know that the UNC loves and cares deeply about the happiness and well-being of everyone in our country. You must not terrorize and destroy your own mind and soul with bitterness and hate. You must soothe and nourish your mind with happiness and with love. Anyone who gets up on a platform, who shouts, who berates, who insults to create hate, discord, anger, and strife, and quarrels with you, they do not want unity and happiness or harmony. How can someone, whether in high office or no office, be blind to the mix of our citizens? You can see our UNC candidates, give them a round of applause, the diversity and the mixture of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Under this government, there is violence, there is fear, there's poverty, because there's no sense of unity, there's no sense of inclusion. There's only bullying, anger, blame, and wanton aggression. If you want peace, safety, and prosperity, that is what we in the UNC are offering. That means you want unity, inclusion, harmony, cooperation. That is what the UNC is about. Those who want disunity do not care. They do not want and do not care about you or your family. And so we see the pandemic of division in our country. We see the pandemic of P&M, political economy of hatred. And let me explain that to you. The other parties are campaigning, as I told you, on race baiting, on innuendo, on gossip, on reputation destruction, political opportunism, purchasing deceit, and sometimes outright untruths. They are dealing in political economy of hatred. What does it mean? This means this is a supply of hate creating stories from government and the willingness of voters, some of them, to listen to hate. Hate is fostered with fake stories of the government's opponents, imaginary crimes. But the impact of these stories come from repetition, not truth. The hate-creating stories help to discredit opponents whose policies are better than theirs. I saw MP Khadija put out a press release calling upon the blatant lies of the government. Every time they speak, more lies to create discord and disunity. Hatred relies on people accepting rather than investigating hate-creating stories. They're using it against police officers, for example. They want to blame rank-and-file police officers for crime, when the reality is the government is interfering in the operations of the police service. And let me say this, Mr. Rowley, Prime Minister Rowley, your latest salvo in trying to deal with the crime issue, talking about you want to create a special elite force in the police service because they will be chosen because they have integrity. We said, no way should you proceed in that direction. That is against the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The government cannot set up elite services within the police service. How will you select these people? What will be the criteria? Is the criteria that you're sending them to look for UNC people? Is that what it is this is about? And then when you heard what he said, look for the criminals wherever, and for them inside Parliament. Please understand, inside Parliament. Well, I want to tell you there are no criminals on the UNC bench in the Parliament. There are none of them there. And if there are any criminals in the Parliament, then you are talking about your own members that you know about. But I want to say we totally disagree with setting up this special unit in the TTPS. There are already many arms within the service to help us deal with the issue of rogue police officers. But when you come to talk about paying them more, again, what criteria, whom will select them? And then you demoralize the rest of the service because you're picking a few people to pay them more money. You know, they say, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make them mad. Prime Minister Rowley, that is a totally insane idea at this time. So I'm talking about the political hatred, political divisions, the political economy of hatred. And so they're using that against the police officers when they say they want to force the 4% on the police officers. After you have worked them in some cases to death during COVID, and then you claim now to have money for special officers. This is setting up hate and division within the police service. Now they're using the political economy of hatred by painting workers who refuse the 4%. They paint them as greedy. They insult them as being ungrateful. I believe, on the other hand, on the political economy of love, compassion, empathy, upliftment, and I condemn the political economy of hatred. The government must stop threatening workers' jobs. They are terrorizing workers and their families mentally by creating the constant fear of losing the ability to afford food and shelter. This is the most evil, diabolical act. We come to the energy sector, and there is an energy sector pandemic. We have reached a stage where there is a pandemic of losses in the energy sector. Oil and gas businesses are fleeing our shores. Many are closing their bases of operation in TNT and fleeing to Guyana and other parts of the world. We see multinationals are giving back acreage that were given for exploration and production. There's a Reuters article, I'm not sure if the team has it, which tells us about this. Reuters article, Vancouver, July 12th. Australia's Woodside Energy Group has returned a deep water block to Trinidad and Tobago government after an exploration appraisal found it would be uneconomic to develop, a company spokesman said on Wednesday. All this destruction and losses in the energy sector are down to three major reasons. Number one on the list, the shutdown of Petrotron is number one. When Rowley lied and said the government is not closing down Petrotron. If you were closing your fridge, do I repeat? He said the government is not closing down Petrotron, and instead proceeded to do exactly that, where all were fired. That was number one. That was a revenue generating asset. It is now turned into a liability. Tens of thousands of high quality jobs turned into unemployment. Fuel independence into fuel insecurity. Low fuel prices into high fuel prices. Most private businesses supporting Petrotron operations, they have been wiped out. That's reason one, the closure of Petrotron, where we had our greatest competitive advantage as a nation, being in that industry for over 100 years. They killed the goose that laid the golden egg. The second reason is that Rowley unilaterally, that means one-on-one, all by him ruins himself, imposed new royalties and taxes on the energy producers without an understanding of long-term effects of so doing. We had to wake up and understand that oil and gas investment goes to where the best returns are available. Oil and gas are found in many places around the globe, and without proper investment returns, then they will go elsewhere, where they say the grass is greener in the other fields. So a competitive taxation regime, if we don't have that, companies will go to other countries. That's two. The third factor, Rowley and Young, without energy sector technocrats, without professionals, personally went to Houston and outsmarted themselves in gas price negotiations. Because of this, exploration and production here in Trinidad and Tobago has plummeted. Businesses are fleeing, and downstream companies face increased gas prices. The power generation companies as well increase prices. Because of their ridiculous negotiations, you will now be forced to pay increased electricity rates and water rates. MP Padaraj spoke earlier about the increased electricity rates. They are fooling you. Do not get chained up. Do not be fooled by their lies. They already have the report completed, as the MP has told you, and will enforce it after the elections. If you look at what's on here from Moody's, they're boasting about a Moody's upgrade with respect to our economy. But this is what Moody has to say. In addition to other matters, he says, and it's up on the screen, In addition, this is Moody's, a new electricity tariff regime will be more cost-effective with more cost-effective rates is scheduled to be published this fiscal year, followed by revised water tariffs in fiscal 2024. What is Moody's telling you? They're telling you they're going to have a new cost-effective rate for electricity and water. What does that mean? You think the prices will go down? Do you think the price of water will go down, the water rates? Do you think electricity rates will go? No, the answer is no. They'll be followed by revised water tariffs. So you come to us and you boast about the Moody's, but Moody's is pointing the direction where this government will go, which is to put more hardship on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Moody's is now saying we are, a rating of B. They're claiming that the economy is doing well. The country has a good BA2 rating. But if we check out the chart, we will see that a BA2 rating is internationally considered to be junk status. So you're boasting that we have been placed in junk status, Mr. Rowley. And if it is that we are doing so well, why you want to bring property tax? Why you want to bring inheritance tax? Why you want to raise water rates? Why you want to raise electricity rates? It is very clear that the economy continues to go on a downward spiral. The IMF has been in the country for months, dictating to the Minister of Finance measures to cut government debt and spending. They are facing increased difficulty in accessing loans and financing due to the very high debt, government secrecy, low revenues, and low confidence internationally. As I said, if the country is doing so well, then why are you going to put all these increases? I want to know if these are all IMF directives, which I clearly like. These are only imposed on countries who are really at a near-death stage in catastrophe. We are now, I'm asking, under the control of foreign consultants and foreign policies. You will ask me, what will we do? But before I give you some of our plans, I want to share with you some breaking news coming out just today. Just today. First of all, you remember that our great former AG, Anand Ramlogan, on behalf of the Public Services Association, filed a matter with respect to the TTRA and the position of the workers of the PSA. And on Friday, the PSA, through their lawyers, Anand Ramlogan and team, they got leave to apply to the Privy Council to enforce an injunction to stop the government from moving forward with displacement of workers from the PSA. Today, our team scored a victory in the courts. Today, please give the team a round of applause. So through their lawyers, the PSA is pleased to announce that the government has backed down on its plan to force public officers in the BIR and Customs and Excise to make a decision on transferring to the Revenue Authority by 31st July 2023. At the hearing today, the government indicated to the High Court, Justice Westman James, that Minister of Finance will today pass an order extending the time until November. This is consistent with the judgment of Justice of Appeal Rajkumar, who dissented from the majority and ruled that he would have imposed an injunction until November to preserve the status quo. The Privy Council over the weekend contacted our lawyers, and they said they will hear this matter for the injunction as a matter of urgency next week, and that on the same day of the hearing, they will give their judgment on the same day of the hearing next week. And so this was sent to both our lawyers and to the government's lawyers. So the government came to a court today and said, listen fellas, it's okay. We back down. We will wait until November. So there's no need to go forward with the injunction. Based on that, the government issued a legal notice 211 today. An order under the hand of the Minister of Finance. This order may be cited as the TT Revenue Authority Extension Order. The period under Section so-and-so of the Act is extended to 30th November 2023. This was exactly what the lawyers were asking for in the courts below. And when they got the leave to go to the Privy Council, government backed down. Give the legal team a round of applause. Give them a round of applause on this matter. And so we will fight them in the Parliament. We'll fight them outside the Parliament. And we'll fight them in the courts of law for justice for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So you asked me what would we do? Let me share some of our plans to secure businesses in our land. Sensible voters, they want to hear our plans to improve lives and to secure livelihoods. I have confidence in our pro-business plans to service a high standard of living. And let's share some of these with you. We have our economic transformation plan. We have been showing that since 2020. Please go onto our website and you'll get more details. Second, it is our plan that we should lower corporation taxes to a minimum of 18% over the 5-year period. We say scrap the property tax and do not bring any inheritance tax. We say deregulate and simplify the processes for environmental clearances and approvals for new and existing businesses. Pursue double taxation agreements with more countries in South America, West Africa, and other Commonwealth countries. 6, strengthen legislation to protect minority shareholders, which is currently a big problematic area in our ease of doing business. 7, aggressively enhance legislation regarding contract, law, and mediation. Currently, it takes between 4 and 6 years to settle contract disputes. 8, implement Spanish as a compulsory second language in all our schools. In that way, we can tap into the large, over 600 million population in Latin America and South America. And of course, for our own migrant children here in our country. As a matter of urgency, implement computer technology and software development as core parts of the education syllabus. 10, improve the ease of doing business by implementing a quality assurance management system such as ISO 9001 in specific units related to businesses development, statutory approvals, credit facilities, tax clearances, financial accreditation in the following organizations: legal affairs, utilities, WASA and TNTech, NGC, customs and excise, BIR, EMA, town and country, FIU, and building inspectorate. When we align all these units under a common quality management system, we will make doing business in TNT easier. 11, we can reduce our costs of exporting a container of locally manufactured goods by 1, and not just for export, but for the comfort of all road users. We must improve road infrastructure to decrease transport costs to and from ports of entry and from factory. Hiring of more customs and excise personnel to increase efficiency of their operations. Investing heavily in improving port infrastructure to attract new shipping
lines. Increasing the number of bonded areas off-site the ports, thus freeing up space within ports for exporters. 5, strengthening management and technological systems to reduce inspection and documentation and speed up throughflow times. Now I'm raising these plans because we cannot just come here and complain and quarrel. Some of these may be relevant to you, but these are for the ease of doing business so we can bring down the prices, bring down the cost of living, and bring in more investment. We must utilize blockchain technology as a way of keeping track of transactions and documentation and for asset management. 12, invest and expand the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards to enhance the ability to test imported products and reject inferior products from entering our country. We are inundated with the dumping of inferior products here, detrimental to our local manufacturers who adhere to higher quality standards. And of course, yes, we must work with fellow CARICOM members to create new and enhanced trade agreements. We will be in a stronger position as CARICOM gets more profitable agreements. And so what is the PNM offering you? Mikey K earlier said, they say there is no difference, but there is a tremendous difference between them and us. What are they offering? Taxpayer funds as bribes by paying cash for votes in corporations that they are facing difficulties in. Tonight, I want to share with you property tax to cash for votes pandemic. I want to show you the Diego Martin grant clip where Mr. Imbert and others, along with Shamfa Kujo, they joined the National Commission for Self-Help. They gave out 30 grants valued at $750,000 to families within the Diego Martin Northeast area. Each person received a grant in the form of a purchase order, ranging from $15,000 to $25,000 based on causes of their damage to their home. Has anyone in Princestown received any such grant? Has anyone in Maruga Tableland received any such grant? Has anyone in Naparima? Anyone in St. Augustine? No, you see, because they're using government taxpayers' money to bribe people to buy votes. Over $750,000 in grants in Diego Martin Northeast. I have no issue with helping people in need. We know that. But I have an issue when you take taxpayer money to give cash for votes to your supporters during an election campaign. Clearly they are scared, and Diego Martin and the NTA combined with the UNC will run them out of the Diego Martin Corporation. And I have a really big issue when you're forcing people to pay property tax and inheritance tax on what they work so hard for. But then you take the funds to pay bribes to voters and to also fund your local government campaign and your activists. MP Rodney Charles tonight told us about what's going on with Balishe House, and I endorse his calls for more transparency with respect to the construction of that Balishe House. So make no mistake, this is what they will do with your property tax money. They are picking pockets, depriving you and your family of what you worked hard for to pay off voters and the election activists. That cannot be right. So you're in effect working so hard to pay to build a next man house. This government is taking your money to be used to build a next man's house. Understand that? Your roof is leaking, but you have to pay property tax to fix a next man's roof. because he's campaigning for the government. Totally discriminatory and unfair. But let's look at this also. They gave the money with purchase orders. A purchase order is a legal document form used by someone who is a buyer. It is sent to a supplier for an order. A purchase order specifies the items, the quantities, prices, and credit terms for a purchase from the vendor. This means that the P&M has also selected the hardware to supply the material. The P&M financier who owns the hardware will be the one making the money. And you never know, they may find a hardware owner who is just as willing to pay Judases, as we found out recently, when over $500,000 was paid by a hardware owner to a Judas who crossed the floor. Show that check up, please. You all know any P&M financier who owns the hardware, who pays Judases. Can we put a check up and you can see it there? Leonard's check to Kavish, and check the pictures with Leonard and Stuart Young. You see them? Birds of a feather, yes. Look at that. Look at him there with Stuart. But remember, Mr. Leonard said he paid Kavish to get money owed by the P&M government to him. He's paying Kavish to influence the government to pay him. You ever hear anything more funny than that? Stuart and him liming together, but he has to go and pay a UNC Judas to intervene with the government to pay him. The government is robbing you of your money through overtaxation, filtering it through suppliers and contractors to pay bribes to Judases and election activists. You know the expression, what a tangled web they weave when they first set out to deceive. Now you all know where your property tax and inheritance taxes are going. And this is why they do not want the procurement law. And I'll talk a little about that law. There's so much to say. Rodney spoke about it. And we'll go to Parliament on Wednesday. What are we going to Parliament to do on Wednesday? We are going to Parliament on Wednesday because we had filed pre-action protocol letters against 2 orders that the Minister of Finance signed to exempt the CARICOM meetings expenditures and to exempt some supplies to the judiciary. When we filed that, they were supposed to respond to us by Monday, but they take front before front take them. And they sent us a reply on Friday. I thought I had a copy here. It doesn't seem as though I have it, but I remember what they told us. In essence, it was a confession of guilt that they had acted wrongfully in Imbert issuing the 2 orders to exempt CARICOM expenses and judiciary expenses. They admitted it, and they then said, well, look, there's no need for the court proceedings to go on because we are coming to Parliament on Wednesday with a validation act for those 2 orders and an amendment to the Parent Act of Procurement. I don't want to tie you up too much into the law, but I just want to make it very clear. First of all, they come to validate what they've already illegally done. And the questions will be, how much money are you talking about for that CARICOM? Tell the country. Be transparent. Tell the country. How much money was it that you exempted here? Who are the contractors? Who are the suppliers of the goods and services? Tell us who they are. Is it Leonard's Hardware? Who else is it? Who are these people? You must tell the Parliament that when you come for the validation of the 2 orders. But even more troubling is the amendment they're seeking to put into place to the parent law. Remember procurement law passed under my government. They took 8 years, they've only just proclaimed, and they're already pulling it back. They already amended it and withdrew several areas of oversight. They want to come on Wednesday now to further water down, and I will say they're not watering down. What they're coming to do on Wednesday is to put the last nail in the coffin
of the public procurement law and to do the last rites and bury the law. I'll tell you this, that is not now worth the piece of paper that is worth. It's not worth it. Not one piece of paper. Not one. Not the piece of paper it is written on. When you do that on Wednesday, what you will be saying is you can exempt any service, the supply of any goods, without parliamentary oversight. So every Monday morning, Imbert gets up and he decides on exempting. You're removing the affirmative resolution, which means it had to come to Parliament. You had to come and explain it before you could exempt it. He's changing that to negative resolution, which means he just writes up the order. It takes effect immediately. If not challenged in Parliament within 40 days, it continues. So he's been given a blank check when you put in this negative resolution on the paper. Anything and everything, and then you want to tell me the Prime Minister says the reason they want to change it is because it takes 2 months. Prime Minister, that is why there was this emergency measure to come to Parliament with an affirmative resolution if something came up that was not planned or prepared for. And in the same way, you now have to come to Parliament to ratify and validate those illegal orders, the same way you could have taken one day and come to Parliament and explain what the money is for, who are the contractors, and why it has become necessary to make an exemption order. But when you now put it in this manner, nothing, no transparency, no integrity in the law. And the second thing you said, you can't even buy toilet paper. Are you saying you're running the government like some poor man's house, that only when you run out of something, you run down by the parlor and you buy it? Don't we plan? Don't we budget? Don't we know how much we need in any given financial year? Isn't that why you do a budget? That you will come to the Parliament and say, we need $5 for hygiene supplies, we need $100 cleaning supplies, whatever it is. That's why you have an annual budget. And still, you have, within the law as it is, for emergency provisions to come to the Parliament immediately to seek affirmative resolution and share with the country what it is. So when you make these amendments, and the third one you want to make, which is contracts below $1 million don't have to go through the procurement law procedures. What does it mean? Every contract now will be just under $1 million. That was one of the ills. That was one of the ills that the law attempted to deal with. Because what people were doing, you have a contract, it's $1 million, you bring in the contract below, and what you do, you break up the contract into several packages. So you will never have to go through the transparency and accountability of the procurement law. We will say more of this in Parliament on Wednesday, but I will tell you that your UNC members in Parliament will not support this killing, butchering, massacring of the procurement law. We will not support it. We will not support it in any way. And when the minister signed those illegal orders, his failure to bring the exemptions for debate in the Parliament before giving them out, these contracts, my question today, Minister, and to your government, did you commit a criminal offense? Sections of the Procurement Act speaks about criminal offenses. One says a person who directly or indirectly influences in any manner or attempts to influence in any manner any procurement proceedings in order to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of a procurement contract commits an offense and is liable to a fine of $5 million and imprisonment for 10 years. By illegally and unconstitutionally bypassing Parliament, has the finance minister, is he guilty of influencing procurement proceedings? And it doesn't stop with him.
These illegal contracts, knowing full well that he had just voted for a law that required them to come to Parliament for approval, that was a precondition for these contracts. They have given out contracts illegally under an illegal so-called exemption order to their friends, their family and financiers. That is a blatant criminal offense. Mr. Imbert was quick to throw the AG under the bus, Reginald Amo. When the matter arose, he said he acted under legal advice from the Attorney General. Well, Mr. Imbert, we know never take advice from a lying Attorney General. Incompetent lying AG. Never take that advice. Amo would equally be guilty of misconduct in public office and aiding and abetting a criminal offense. If, as Imbert claims, he was advised by Amo to break the law. Amo must also be investigated and charged for colluding with Imbert to break the law. It is unthinkable and unimaginable that a Minister of Finance can publicly say that the AG, who is a legal advisor to Cabinet, advised him to break the law and commit a criminal offense. Amo is intellectually and mentally unfit to function as AG. He has done irreparable damage and destruction to the office in his short time there. Government now come into Parliament, as I say, retroactively evaluate and make other changes. So what do I say? I call upon the Commissioner of Police. Well, wish me luck. I call on the Commissioner of Police. I call upon you to launch an immediate criminal investigation into this offense, just as expeditiously as you have done had it been a political opponent of the PNM. I call upon you that a PNM TTPS, I tell you, Mongoose gang, instructed by the PNM control hierarchy of the TTPS, are raiding people's homes in Tobago who were connected with the Farley so-called alleged tape because Farley stood up to Rowley's financiers in Tobago. I call on the DPP to act on this matter so that the rule of law and our Constitution can be protected from these vicious and diabolical actions on the part of the PNM government. As I come to a close, I raise again the issue of crime as a pandemic. And we on this platform, in this space, will not be intimidated by Prime Minister Rowley, who goes on a platform and say, we want to run a general election. We're talking about crime. Mr. Rowley, you are not real. Come down from there. I told you that last week. Come down from there, Rowley. Come down. Come down. Crime is the #1 fear, terrorizing all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And you are so out of touch that you say we must not speak about crime. If you will not speak about crime, we will, because that is what our constituents tell us. That is how people are on the ground. This is what they're saying. And if you look at all the clips, you will see crime is on the rampage. They want us to ignore the reality that the hierarchy of the police service is taking political orders from the government. They engage in immature PR over the weekend. 319 dead and counting. You have the responsibility, not reforming, but repeating that you will vote for the UNC to stand your ground. What did David do when faced with the reality of Goliath at Judah? What did David do? He stood his ground. He was brave like the great King David. And tonight I call upon you, UNC members and friends, stand your ground. We want to give you a fighting chance. So let us give legal firearms you can protect your families with. When they come to bad talk, legal firearms, tell them Kamala is giving you a fighting chance to secure yourselves and your families. My friends, losing everything under the pandemic that is the PNM, What is the opposite of secure? It is insecure. Why does every living thing find insecurity so terrifying? This is a fact. Every living thing is desperately afraid of insecurity. In states of insecurity, you are bound to suffer losses. Insecurity means losing everything. I want you to listen to this carefully. In states of insecurity, you will always suffer losses. Some will suffer grave losses. The result of grave losses is suffering, depression, and premature death. Some of us are still trying hard to keep our minds and bodies intact under the terror that is this government. Remember how they terrorized you under COVID, terrorized you about your jobs, terrorized you about vaccines, terrorized you about wages. This government is a party of terrorism and insecurity, which means they are the party of widespread losses. You know, music is a sign of the times. The young generation now is singing what is known as Trinidad music. The only things these young men are singing about are death, suffering, hatred, political victimization. I want to give you another instance of grave insecurity, talking about the COVID-19 pandemic. How many thousands of your loved ones died? Why did your beloved husband die? Why did your beautiful wife die, your children, your ambitious son, your loving daughter? Why did our beloved suffocate to death like something from a horror movie? Why did you have to lose? Even as we ask these questions now, you see their warm and loving smiles. You still hear their voices and feel their touch. This is the government's responsibility for all your losses over the last 8 years. If all of this gets you burning with anger, wanted to hit out, tonight I say hit out with your vote on August 14. Hit out and say you want security, you want love, you want care. Hit out against waking up to another day of losses, another week of losses, another month of losses. Our UNC councillors here and others, they have given their pledge of service to you. Thousands of you have seen their pledges and have agreed, put them to the test. So redirect your pent-up anger and hit out against losses and insecurity by voting for care and security in all your UNC councillors. They are the pandemic. The PNM is a pandemic. And I ask you to remember that as we vote against the PNM on August 14th. There is just one other matter I had to raise, and I'm not sure if Radon got it printed yet, but if not, my memory is fairly good still. So I want to raise with you another breaking piece of news, which is that today the court granted the Presbyterian Board leave to challenge the decisions of the government with respect to the breaches of the Concordat. And this is a very important landmark piece of information that only came to me on my way here. Presbyterian Board, and I know the other denominational boards, are challenging government's decision to interfere with the running of those denominational schools. I will speak more on that, but remember, this is a fascist government. It is their way or no way. But thank God we have the courts of law and the rule of law. And we will continue to stand up for you, for justice, to stand up for the rule of law, to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago gets back on the right path. I close, my sons and daughters. Remember, whenever you feel alone, all on your lonesome, when you feel no one cares for you, whether you feel that you can't go on, know that we in the UNC, we love you all. I say put God in front and walk behind. Psalm 27 in the Holy Text tells us, the Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. of whom shall I be afraid? And it ends with, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Put God in front. Stay strong, UNC family. Stay strong. And ensure that here in Princestown, all our councillors in the corporation are voted into office. Before I leave, remember this as well. Yellow is the code. The code is yellow. Don't tote, just vote. Stop toting and start voting. Starting up in the east in Brandy, it is code yellow. Come along the corridor, Arima to the Puna, Sani Grande, Lavanti, up the road, Port Espente, Gomati. The code is yellow. The sun rises in the east and shall move to the west, to the south, and to every part of our land. And when we come down into the south, Cuva, Tabaki, Talparo, code yellow. Chaguanas Borough, code yellow. Princestown, code yellow, yellow, yellow. Pinal Debe Corporation, the code is yellow. And right down to Superior Corporation, we gone clear, the code is yellow. God bless you. On August 14th, put your X next to the rising sun. Thank you.
It's time for we to build a better TNT. Come on. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come let me vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So let me vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote. This is the time to secure TNT. Hey.
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more.
No more, no more.
And the home invasion of the people insecure.
Insecurity, you know.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go. So on election day, what to do?
Just vote for you. For your family security. Vote for you. For your community security. Vote for you. Just to save your economy. Vote for you. Vote to secure TNT. It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come let we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. Come let we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. Come out and vote. This is the time to secure TNT. Hey, hey.
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more.
No more, no more.
And the home invasion of the people insecure.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go. So on election day, what to do?
Just vote for you. For your family security. Vote for you. For your community security. Vote for you. Just to save your economy. Vote for you. Vote to secure TNT. Hey, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come let we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So let we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote. This is the time to secure TNT. Stand your ground and secure your family. Stand your ground and secure the community. Stand your ground and secure this country. Stand your ground now. Stand your ground now. Hey!
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more.
No more.
And the home invasion of the people insecure.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go. So on election day, what to do?
Just vote for you. For your family security. Vote for you. For your community security. Vote for you. Just to save our economy. Vote for you. Vote to secure TNT. Hey, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come let we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So let we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the our economy. Vote for you. Vote the security ante. On August 14th, vote for you. Vote for the
You see massive. Somebody make some noise. Yeah. All right. One more. Play the song, Bex. I do it again. One more. Let me go again. Give me some vibes. Let me go again.
It's time for we
Push it
up. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Come let we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. Come let we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote. This is the time to secure TNT.
Hey, do that.
You see the crime and violence, we can't take it no more. And the home invasion of the people insecure.
To secure TNT, UNC is the way to go. So on election day, what to do?
Just vote for you, for your family security. Vote for you, for your community security. Vote for you, just to save your economy. Vote for you, vote the security ante. August 14th, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your
Everybody
family.
put something in the
August
air.
14th, vote for UNC.
All flat.
That's the way to secure your country. Come let we vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family. So let we vote.
This is the time to secure TNT.
Come out and vote. Make sure the children safe in the community. So we have to vote.
August 14th is election day in Trinidad.
We have to stand united. We have to stand together.
It's 14 corporations and key electoral districts on the ballot. It comes down to your voice, your vote.
George! Are you ready? UNC!
Cast your vote for the one and only United National Congress. Stand your ground to victory. To victory.
Who feel the black? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's set till tomorrow night. Who feel the wrong? Who feel the right? Come and go. And all who feel the too bright. Let me jump up. Let me wind up. Party non-stop. Ramaje dingo leke kete, we come to play mass. Every creed and class. Don't let nothing pass. Like a repetitive, all the love inside the way. Uptown and ghetto, feeling the tempo. Soca and kaiso,